The bar was called Last Light because it was the final stop before the long dark of space. Old pilots drank here. Broken soldiers sat in silence. Music hummed low, like a tired heart. Neon lights blinked in slow pain above the counter. Ethan? Cross did not plan to be a hero tonight. He sat alone at the far end of the bar, his Earth military jacket unzipped, dust still clinging to the boots he forgot to clean. He had just returned from a failed mission near the outer colonies. Too many friends were gone. Too many orders made no sense. He wanted one thing only to forget. He lifted his glass. The drink burned his throat, but it did not burn the memories. That was when she walked in. The room changed, not loudly, not suddenly, but slowly, like gravity shifting. She was not human. Everyone could see that at once. Her skin shimmered softly. Like moonlight on calm water, her eyes were silver, deep, and far too calm for a place like this. She wore a simple, dark cloak. No guards, no weapons in sight. Some people stared, some looked away. A few laughed nervously. Aliens came to Last Light sometimes. Traitors, refugees, runaways. But this one felt different. Ethan noticed her because she noticed him. Their eyes met across the room. For a second, the noise faded. The music felt distant. Ethan frowned, confused by the sudden pull in his chest. She walked toward him. Each step was slow, careful, like she was learning the floor. She stopped beside him and sat on the empty stool. "You look like someone who lost a war," she said. Her voice was calm, clear, basic English, but perfect. Ethan blinked. "You don't look like someone who should be in this bar." She smiled faintly. "That makes two of us." The bartender hesitated, then poured her a drink anyway. They sat in silence for a moment. "My name is Ethan," he said at last. She studied him, like she was reading a book with many hidden pages. I know, that should have worried him. Instead, it made him laugh. "What's your name?" he asked. She paused. "Tonight, it is Lyra. Tonight." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Names can be dangerous," she replied. They talked. About small things at first. Old ships, broken engines, bad commanders, lost planets. Lyra listened more than she spoke. When she did speak, her words carried weight, like each one mattered. Ethan forgot the drink, forgot the noise, forgot where. He was dot around them. The bar watched. Some felt uneasy, some felt angry. No one understood why. Then the trouble started. 3 men stood from a nearby table. Not soldiers, mercenaries. Their armor was worn, their smiles sharp. "Hey," one of them said. "Alien girl, you lost." Lyra did not turn. Ethan sighed. "Go sit down," he said. "Not worth it." The mercenary laughed. "You don't decide what's worth it, Earth boy." A hand reached toward Lyra's shoulder. That was a mistake. Ethan moved before thinking. His chair crashed back. His fist struck hard. The bar exploded into chaos. Tables flipped. Glass shattered. Someone screamed. Ethan fought like someone with nothing left to lose. He blocked a blade. He took a hit to the ribs. Pain flared, sharp and real. Through it all, Lyra stood perfectly still. Then she raised one hand. The air changed. The mercenaries froze. Not slowly, instantly, like time itself had grabbed them. The room went silent. Every eye turned to her. She lowered her hand. The mercenaries collapsed, unconscious, as if nothing had happened. Ethan stared. His heart hammered in his chest. "What? What was that?" he whispered. Lyra looked at him, silver eyes calm again. A small thing. The bar emptied fast after that. Minutes later, only Ethan and Lyra remained. He laughed, breath shaky. "So, not a normal traveler." "No," she said softly. She stood. Ethan stood too. He didn't know why. Something pulled them closer. Not fear, not control. Something older, something quiet. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" he asked for. Choosing to stand. Before he could answer, she leaned forward. The kiss was gentle, warm, too real to be a dream. For one perfect second, the universe felt balanced. Then alarms screamed. The station shook. Red lights flashed. A voice boomed through the speakers. "All hands alert. Unknown fleet has exited hyperspace." Ethan turned toward the VIEWPORT. His blood ran cold. Ships filled the sky. Thousands of them, black and silver, silent, perfect formation. Step beside him, he looked at her. You know something about this, don't you? She met his eyes. Yes, she said calmly. That is my fleet. And in that moment, Ethan Cross realized the kiss in a dirty bar had just placed Earth in the center of a galactic storm. The station shook again, harder this time. Metal groaned. Lights flickered like dying stars. Outside the wide viewport, the alien fleet continued to arrive, ship after ship, sliding out of hyperspace with perfect order. They did not fire. They did not move. They simply waited. Ethan could not look away. That's your fleet? He asked again, his voice low, almost empty. Lyra nodded once. Yes, fear should have taken him then. Anger, maybe. Instead, confusion filled his mind like thick fog. You're a princess, he said slowly, trying to make sense of it. A commander. And you walked into a bar alone. I needed to see this place, Lyra replied. I needed to see humans, without uniforms, without power, without lies. Ethan laughed, but there was no humor in it. You picked a hell of a place for that. Sirens wailed again. Security drones rushed past the bar entrance. Somewhere above them, weapons powered up. Come with me, Lyra said. Ethan turned to her. You're joking, no, she said. If you stay here, you may die. And if I go with you, she hesitated. Just for a second, then your life will never be quiet again. Ethan thought of Earth Command, of broken promises, of friends buried in cold soil. He exhaled. Quiet is overrated, he said. They moved fast through the station's lower halls. Emergency lights painted everything. Red, people ran in every direction, panic, loud and wild. Some shouted prayers. Some screamed curses at the sky. A squad of Earth Marines blocked the corridor ahead, weapons raised. Stop, their leader shouted. Identify yourselves. Ethan stepped forward. Sergeant Cross, 3rd Earth Infantry. The Marine froze. Cross, we thought you were dead, Ethan finished. Almost the sergeant's eyes shifted to Lyra. His grip tightened on his rifle. That alien is under arrest, he said. By order of Earth Command, Lyra met his stare without fear. Your command does not rule this space. The air trembled. Ethan felt it in his bones. Power controlled. Heavy. Lower your weapons, Lyra said calmly. None of the Marines. Moved, Ethan raised his hands. Easy. Nobody wants a war in a hallway. The sergeant hesitated. Outside, the fleet loomed like judgment. Finally, he stepped aside. This isn't over. Lyra inclined her head. It rarely is. They reached a sealed hangar bay. The door slid open, revealing a ship unlike anything Ethan had seen. Smooth, dark, no sharp edges, no visible engines. It felt alive. This is yours too? Ethan asked. Yes, they stepped inside. The doors closed. Silence wrapped around them. The ship lifted smoothly, passing through the station's shields like mist. As they rose, Ethan saw Earth defense platforms aiming their weapons but not firing. They're afraid, Ethan said. They should be. Careful instead, Lyra replied. The ship joined the massive formation. At once, the fleet shifted, opening a path. The ship slid into the heart of it. Ethan felt very small. So, he said, trying to keep his voice steady, what exactly did I kiss in that bar? Lyra looked at him. Her expression was serious now. I am Lyra Valentier, she said. First daughter of the Aurelian throne. Supreme Commander of the 7th Starfleet. Ethan let out a slow breath. Of course you are, she continued. For 3 years, Earth and the Aurelian Empire have stood at the edge of war. Your leaders test weapons near our borders. Your fleets watch us. Fear grows. And now you show up with an armada, Ethan said. That won't calm anyone. This fleet is not here to attack, Lyra said. It is here to end something far worse. Ethan frowned. Worse than war? Yes. The stars outside twisted as the ship jumped to a short-range drift. A new image filled the forward display. A region of space burned dark and red, like a wound. This is the Void Rift, Lyra said. It consumes systems, life, light. We have fought it alone for decades. Ethan stared. Why show this to me? Because humans fight differently, she replied. You endure. You adapt. You refuse to break. He laughed softly. You've been spying on us, yes? And you kissed me because her gaze softened. Because you stood between me and death without knowing who I was. The ship slowed, the fleet held position. But there is a problem, Lyra said quietly. Ethan turned. There's always a problem. Some within my empire want Earth destroyed before humans grow stronger, she said. And some within your command want this fleet attacked to prove dominance. Ethan clenched his fists. So I'm guessing this is where I come in. You are trusted by neither side, Lyra said. That makes you useful. He shook his head. You kidnapped the wrong guy. No, she said. I chose the right one. Outside, the fleet began to move, and somewhere between Earth and the stars. Ethan Krause realized he was now standing between two empires and something far darker was already coming. The first combined assault began in near silence. Power levels dropped across both fleets, shields dimmed, weapons went dark. To any watching eye, it looked like surrender. The creatures from the rift surged forward, drawn by motion but confused. By the sudden lack of energy, their forms twisted, sharp angles bending like wet metal. They moved as if space itself obeyed them. Ethan stood at the tactical station, hands clenched behind his back. Every instinct in him screamed to fire, to light the dark with force. But this enemy fed on energy. Light was food. Hold steady, Lyra said. Her voice carried calm into every corner of the ship. Aurelian assault craft detached first dense vessels with heavy hulls and almost no energy output. Earth followed, launching old-style gunships refitted with chemical weapons and solid rounds. Bullets tore through space. The first creature screamed not in sound, but in vibration, its body shattered, pieces drifting like dead stars. It works, Ethan breathed. The line advanced. Boarding teams launched next. Ethan felt his pulse spike as his name flashed on the roster. You're not going, Lyra said. He met her eyes. I am, she hesitated. The Commander, the princess. For once, unsure. You are not trained for this enemy, she said. I'm trained to adapt, Ethan replied. You said that yourself. A beat passed, then Lyra nodded. Return alive. The boarding pod slammed into the creature's hull. With a brutal crunch, gravity shifted. Ethan and the mixed team humans and Aurelians together forced the hatch open. Inside was wrong. The walls pulsed, alive, cold, and hot at the same time. Light bent, sound echoed late. Stay tight, Ethan ordered. The creature reacted, tendrils snapping toward them. Aurelian blades cut deep, human explosives tore chunks free. The creature convulsed, but deeper inside, something watched. A core pulsed ahead, dark and heavy. That's the brain, Ethan said. Or close enough. As they advanced, a shockwave hit. Two soldiers flew back, crushed instantly. Ethan felt rage burn through his fear. Push, he shouted. They planted charges. Timers blinked as they retreated. The creature screamed again. Louder this time, space rippled outside. The explosion was silent. The creature collapsed in on itself, leaving nothing behind. Cheers erupted across the channel. Then more rift creatures surged forward. To many, this was just the first wave. Lyra said grimly. The rift widened again. Something massive began to emerge, larger than any ship, larger than a city. Ethan returned to the command deck, armor cracked, blood on his sleeve. What is that? He asked. The Harbinger? Lyra said. We have never killed one. The Harbinger moved slowly, confident. Its presence warped sensors. Energy bled from nearby ships. Earth cruisers began to fail. Aurelian shields collapsed. Ethan stared at the tactical display. If it feeds on energy, then starve it. Lyra turned, explained. He pointed to a cluster of damaged ships. Used them, cut power completely. Drift them into its path. No energy, no reaction. Aurelian officers protested. Those ships carry lives. So does every ship it eats, Ethan snapped. We evacuate first. Time ran thin. Lyra raised her hand. Do it. Escape pods launched. Silent ships drifted forward, dark and cold. The Harbinger struck them and, slowed it, reacted late. Too late, Aurelian mass drivers fired solid cores. Earthrail cannons joined in. No light, no flare, the Harbinger screamed. A crack formed along its center. Now, Ethan shouted. Every remaining ship fired physical payloads at once. The Harbinger split, collapsing inward, dragged back toward the rift like a dying sun. The rift shrank. Unstable, but not closed. Alarms blared. Rift core destabilizing. An officer said, if it collapses wrong, it could tear space open permanently. Lyra clenched her fists. We need a stabilizing anchor. Ethan looked at the display, then at Lyra. You. Her eyes widened. Explain your ship, he said. It can control space fields. Anchor the rift long enough for us to seal it. It will destroy this vessel, she said softly. And maybe you with it. Ethan swallowed. Then I'll stay. Silence fell. You are not Aurelian. This is not your sacrifice. He stepped closer. This started with me standing up in a bar. I'm not stepping back now. Lyra studied him. Not as a commander, as something else. She placed her hand over his heart. Then we face it together, she said. The ship moved toward the rift. The fleets watched in silence as the void screamed and space twisted. Ethan realized one truth clearly. This war would be remembered not for who fired first, but for who chose to stand in the dark without light. The first combined assault began in near silence. Power levels dropped across both fleets. Shields dimmed. Weapons went dark. To any watching eye, it looked like surrender. The creatures from the rift surged forward, drawn by motion but confused. By the sudden lack of energy, their forms twisted, sharp angles bending like wet metal. They moved as if space itself obeyed them. Ethan stood at the tactical station, hands clenched behind his back. Every instinct in him screamed to fire, to light the dark with force. But this enemy fed on energy. Light was food. Hold steady, Lyra said. Her voice carried calm into every corner of the ship. Aurelian assault craft detached first dense vessels with heavy hulls and almost no energy output. Earth followed, launching old-style gunships refitted with chemical weapons and solid rounds. Bullets tore through space. The first creature screamed not in sound, but in vibration, its body shattered, pieces drifting like dead stars. It works, Ethan breathed. The line advanced. Boarding teams launched next. Ethan felt his pulse spike as his name flashed on the roster. You're not going, Lyra said. He met her eyes. I am, she hesitated. The commander, the princess. For once, unsure. You are not trained for this enemy, she said. I'm trained to adapt, Ethan replied. You said that yourself. A beat passed, then Lyra nodded. Return alive. The boarding pod slammed into the creature's hull. With a brutal crunch, gravity shifted. Ethan and the mixed team humans and Aurelians together forced the hatch open. Inside was wrong. The walls pulsed. Alive, cold, and hot at the same time. Light bent, sound echoed late. Stay tight, Ethan ordered. The creature reacted, tendrils snapping toward them. Aurelian blades cut deep. Human explosives tore chunks free. The creature convulsed. But deeper inside, something watched. A core pulsed ahead, dark and heavy. That's the brain, Ethan said. Or close enough. As they advanced, a shockwave hit. 2 soldiers flew back, crushed instantly. Ethan felt rage burn through his fear. Push, he shouted. They planted charges. Timers blinked as they retreated. The creature screamed again. Louder this time. Space rippled outside. The explosion was silent. The creature collapsed in on itself, leaving nothing behind. Cheers erupted across the channel. Then more rift creatures surged forward. To many, this was just the first wave. Lyra said grimly. The rift widened again. Something massive began to emerge, larger than any ship, larger than a city. Ethan returned to the command deck, armor cracked, blood on his sleeve. What is that? He asked. The Harbinger? Lyra said. We have never killed one. The Harbinger moved slowly, confident. Its presence warped sensors. Energy bled from nearby ships. Earth cruisers began to fail. Aurelian shields collapsed. Ethan stared at the tactical display. If it feeds on energy, then starve it. Lyra turned, explained. He pointed to a cluster of damaged ships. Used them, cut power completely. Drift them into its path. No energy, no reaction. Aurelian officers protested. Those ships carry lives. So does every ship it eats, Ethan snapped. We evacuate first. Time ran thin. Lyra raised her hand. Do it. Escape pods launched. Silent ships drifted forward, dark and cold. The Harbinger struck the manned, slowed it, reacted late. Too late, Aurelian mass drivers fired solid cores. Earth-rail cannons joined in. No light, no flare, the Harbinger screamed. A crack formed along its center. Now, Ethan shouted. Every remaining ship fired physical payloads at once. The Harbinger split, collapsing inward, dragged back toward the rift like a dying sun. The rift shrank. Unstable, but not closed. Alarms blared. Rift core destabilizing. An officer said, if it collapses wrong, it could tear space open permanently. Lyra clenched her fists. We need a stabilizing anchor. Ethan looked at the display, then at Lyra. You. Her eyes widened. Explain your ship, he said. It can control space fields. Anchor the rift long enough for us to seal it. It will destroy this vessel, she said softly. And maybe you with it. Ethan swallowed. Then I'll stay. Silence fell. You are not Aurelian. This is not your sacrifice. He stepped closer. This started with me standing up in a bar. I'm not stepping back now. Lyra studied him. Not as a commander, as something else. She placed her hand over his heart. Then we face it together, she said. The ship moved toward the rift. The fleets watched in silence as the void screamed and space twisted. Ethan realized one truth clearly. This war would be remembered not for who fired first, but for who chose to stand in the dark without light. The ship entered the edge of the rift, and reality began to break. The stars twisted into long, thin lines. Distance lost meaning. Time felt slow and fast at the same moment. Ethan gripped the rail as the deck trembled beneath his boots. Every warning system screamed, then went silent. Unable to understand what was happening, Lyra stood at the center of the command deck, hands spread, eyes closed. Soft lines of pale light rose from the floor and wrapped around her like living threads. The ship responded to her presence, its hull shifting, bending, becoming something more than metal. Anchor engaged, she said calmly. The rift fought. Back, dark pressure slammed into the ship like an invisible fist. The hull groaned. Sections of the fleet outside were thrown back, drifting uncontrolled. Stability dropping, an officer shouted, "We can't hold this long." Ethan looked at the rift. It felt like staring into a wound in the universe. He could feel it, pulling at him, whispering without sound. "What happens if we fail?" he asked. Lyra opened her eyes. They no longer looked silver. They looked like stars. "The rift will consume this system," she said. "Then the next, it does not hate. It only feeds." The ship lurched violently. A console exploded in sparks. Ethan was thrown to the floor. Structural integrity at 40%. Ethan forced himself up. "Tell me what I can do." Lyra hesitated. "If I deepen the anchor, the ship will hold, but I may not." He stared at her, meaning, "This ship is bound to my mind," she said. "If the strain becomes too great, it will take me with it." Ethan's chest tightened. He thought of the kiss, of the bar, of how simple everything felt then. "There has to be another way," he said. "There is," Lyra replied softly. "But it requires a second anchor." He understood immediately, a human mind, she continued, unshielded, adaptive. Ethan laughed once, sharp and humorless. "You planned this." "No," she said. "I hoped I would not need it." Outside, the rift surged again. The fleet struggled to hold position. Ethan stepped closer. "Do it. You could die," she said. "So could everyone else if we don't." Lyra searched his face, for fear, for doubt. She found none. The light changed color, warmer now, unstable. Pain hit Ethan like fire, his thoughts scattered. Memories, flash training fields, fallen friends, blue skies over Earth. The rift pushed back, trying to tear his mind apart. "Focus," Lyra said, her voice distant. "Anchor to me." He held on to her voice, to her presence, to the simple truth that he chose to stand. The ship screamed outside. The rift slowed. Its edges hardened, locked in place. "It's working," someone shouted. But the strain doubled. Ethan dropped to one knee, gasping. Blood ran from his nose. His vision blurred. "Ethan," Lyra whispered, "if you continue, you may never be the same." He looked up at her. "I wasn't doing great before. A bitter smile touched her lips. The fleets moved fast now. Specialized charges were deployed along the rift's edge matter anchors designed by Aurelian science, fired by human crews. Charges placed. Detonation in 10. The rift fought wildly, sending shockwaves through space. Ships spun. One Earth cruiser broke apart, scattering debris and escape pods. Ethan felt something crack inside his mind, not breakshift. He saw the rift not as an enemy, but as a system, a pattern, a hunger without thought. Lyra, he gasped. It's not alive, it's a reaction. She stared at him. Explain. It's a wound caused by unstable jumps, he said. Too many tears in space. We didn't create it, but we fed it. Understanding flashed in her eyes. Then sealing it isn't enough, she said. We must heal it. The charges detonated. Lightless force slammed into the rift, collapsing its edges inward. The anchor held. The wound began to close. Ethan screamed as the pressure peaked. His grip tightened on Lyra's hand. For a moment, everything went white dot, then silence. The rift was gone. Stars returned to their proper places. Space felt. Whole dot. The ship drifted, systems failing. Hull scarred but intact. Ethan collapsed. Lyra caught him outside. The fleets hung in stunned silence. The impossible had been done. Moments later, cheers erupted across every channel human, and Aurelian alike. Lyra knelt beside Ethan, holding his face gently. You carried the weight of command, she said softly. His eyes fluttered open. Don't get used to it. She smiled, but deep within Ethan's mind. Something had changed, and far beyond their sensors, in the deeper dark between galaxies. Something else had felt the rift close and had noticed who helped seal it. Ethan woke to silence. Not the empty silence of space, but a calm one, like the quiet after a long storm. The first thing he noticed was the light soft pale, not coming from any single source. The second was the weight in his body, heavy, tired. Alive. He tried to sit up. A gentle force pressed him back. Easy, a familiar voice, said. Lyra sat beside him, not in armor, not in command robes. She wore simple clothing, her glow faint, almost human. Ethan asked, his throat dry. 3 days, she replied. He frowned. Did we win? She nodded. The rift is sealed, completely. He exhaled, relief washing through him. Then pain followed, deep and slow. Why do I feel like I ran across a planet? Because part of you did, Lyra said quietly. Memories stirred in his mind, not images, feelings, pressure, patterns, the shape of space bending. He winced. What did it cost? He asked. Lyra looked away. That bad, he said. You are changed, she admitted. Your neural structure adapted to the rift. You can sense distortions now, jumps, tears, weak points in space. Ethan blinked. You're saying I can feel the universe breaking? Yes? He let out a dry laugh. Figures. The door slid open. Earth officers entered first, tense, alert. Aurelian guards followed, watchful but calm. General Hayes stepped forward. His expression was different now, less sharp, more human. Saved this system, the general said, and possibly more. Ethan shrugged weakly. Just did my job. Hayes shook his head. No, you did more than that. He glanced at Lyra. The Treaty Council has reached a decision. Lyra stood. Ethan felt the room shift, like gravity adjusting. The Aurelian Empire recognizes Earth as a sovereign equal, Hayes said. Full alliance, shared technology, shared defense. Murmurs spread through the room, and Ethan asked. And, Hayes continued, they want you as a liaison. Ethan stared. You're kidding. No, Lyra said. Both sides trust you. Or fear you equally. That's not comforting. She smiled faintly. But there is another matter, Hayes said. Long-range sensors detected a signal shortly after the rift closed. Deep space. Ancient Lyra's expression hardened. It has noticed. Ethan felt it then, a faint pressure in his skull, like a distant echo. Noticed what? He asked. You, Lyra said. The signal appeared on the display, not coordinates, not data, a pattern. Ethan's head throbbed. It's not a message, he said slowly. It's a mark. Silence fell. A challenge, Hayes asked. A warning, Lyra replied. Days later, Ethan stood at a viewport, watching Earth's shrink into blue and white. The fleet moved together now, human and Aurelian ships side by side. "You could have stayed," Lyra said, joining him. "And pretend everything's normal," he replied. That ship sailed. She studied him. "Where will you go?" "Where?" "The cracks are," he said, "before they become wounds." Lyra was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke. "There are forces older than empires," she said. "They watch the balance of space." The rift was one symptom, not the disease. Ethan nodded. "So what am I now?" She met his gaze. "You are what the stars remember." He snorted softly. "I preferred soldier." "You still are," she said, "just on a larger field." An alert chimed. A distant star flickered on the display, then vanished. Ethan felt the echo again. Stronger. "Something's moving," he said. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Then our alliance will be tested sooner than we hoped." He turned to her. "You coming?" She smiled, sharp and sure. "Always." As the fleet changed course toward the unknown, Ethan felt no fear, only purpose, because the universe had learned. Something important when humanity stands with others, even the dark takes notice. The stars ahead were wrong. Ethan felt it before any sensor reacted. A pressure behind his eyes, a slow pull in his chest, like gravity without mass. Space itself felt thin, stretched too far. "There," he said quietly. The fleet slowed, and Aurelian ships adjusted formation without panic. They had learned to trust his instincts. The region ahead looked empty, but Ethan knew better. Emptiness had a shape now, and this one was sharp. "This is not a rift," Lyra said, studying. "The readings, it is deliberate." The darkness folded inward. Light vanished, not in an explosion, but like a breath being held. A massive structure revealed itself in chant, smooth, impossible. It was not a ship. It was a presence. A voice filled every channel at once. Not sound, thought. The balance is disturbed. Several officers collapsed, overwhelmed. Ethan stayed standing, jaw tight. "Yeah," he said. "We noticed. The presence shifted. The stars dimmed further. You sealed what should have fed." Ethan stepped forward. "It was killing everything. That's not balance." A pause, a heavy one. "Suffering is a function." Lyra moved beside him. "So is resistance." The presence turned its attention fully to them. "Space bent? You are small." Ethan nodded. "We are. But we learn fast." The presence pulsed. Images flooded the minds of those who could withstand it, galaxies burning. Civilizations erased to keep some cosmic equation stable. Ethan clenched, his fists. "You let worlds die to keep the math clean." "The equation holds." "No," Ethan said. "It breaks. You just ignore the cost." Silence. For the first time, the presence hesitated. "You felt it when the rift closed," Ethan continued. "Because it wasn't supposed to happen, because we changed the outcome, you interfere." "We adapt," he corrected. The presence focused on him. Pressure increased. Ethan's vision blurred, but he held on. "You are marked." "No," Ethan said. "So now what?" The darkness shifted. The presence expanded, then slowly receded. A test. Space returned in waves. Stars blinked back into place. "Stand against what comes. If you fail, the balance will be restored. And if we succeed," Lyra asked. Another pause. "Then the balance will change." The presence vanished. Silence followed. Long heavy dot, then systems stabilized, gravity normalized. Breathing returned. Ethan exhaled. "Well, that was polite." Lyra let out a short laugh. By cosmic standards, fleet commanders flooded the channel with questions. Fear, disbelief. Ethan raised a hand. Later, everyone hold position. He turned to Lyra. "So the universe just gave us homework." "Yes," she said. "And it will not be simple." He looked at the stars. They felt different now. "Watching, waiting, what's coming?" he asked. Lyra's expression darkened. Something the rift was meant to weaken. Something even the balance fears to face directly. Ethan nodded. Bennett picked the wrong method. The fleet set course back toward known space, carrying news that would shake every world. Days later, on a joint command station, Ethan stood before leaders of two civilizations. He spoke plainly. No speeches, no lies. Some argued, some doubted, but more listened, because fear had a new shape now, and hope did too, later. Ethan stood alone, watching stars drift past. Lyra joined him, quiet. "You changed everything," she said. He shook his head. "We did." She studied him. "Do you regret the kiss?" He smiled. "Best bad decision I ever made." Her glow warmed slightly, far beyond their reach. Something vast shifted its attention, not with anger, with curiosity. Because for the first time in a long age, the universe had spoken and humanity had answered back.